Because that's how easy it is. Just go shake hands. Just go meet people. But if you want to get better and develop yourself and hone the skill, that's what you want to do. You want to memorize those scripts. You got to, know your top 5 objections. And anytime somebody gives you one, you're going to be able to fire off 1 to 3, just like this. And then they become second nature. At first, they do sound a little scripty, and you guys feel awkward. That's the part I'm talking about over here. You can't worry about feeling awkward. You're worrying about getting better. Thank you. Hey, I'll tell you, the reason I like doing shit like that is because I want them to like walk around like they own the place. A lot of people will teach their kids, hey, be quiet. Don't teach your kids to be quiet. Quiet doesn't get you paid. I swear to you, it doesn't. I've seen a lot of people real quiet and they don't get paid. You got to speak up and you got to walk around, believe it or not, like you own the place. You got to walk in, and I'm not saying be arrogant, be proud. Walk into the place like you belong there. Don't walk in and act like you don't belong there. So when we do opportunities like that, I'm just teaching them that freaking not to be afraid, because dude, the hardest thing to do, I think, sometimes is to get up in front of an audience. And there's people that would rather die than get up in front of an audience. So anyway, that's freaking awesome. I always starts to tear up a little bit because I'm proud of them. But all right. We keep trying to pack in more and more, and I keep, calling people, hey, come down here real quick and jump on stage. So I was going to have a little more time, but I'm going to I want to make sure that you guys walk out of here with some things that I know that helped me a big time on the way to where I became, rich, I guess you could say. I still feel kind of pretentious saying that because I expected to go here, and I'm only here. So if you ever see man, he's totally... he downplays it. No, I don't downplay it. It's just when you set a goal for here and you're only here, you don't feel like you did anything. Even though looking back from where I started, I've come a long way. So I want to teach you guys some of the things that's helped me along the way. Sound good? Okay. So number 1, and by the way, I'm going to try to keep it all sales and closing related. Sales and closing related, but as you know, life is sales. Okay, life is closing. You guys are closing people, whether you believe you are or not, every day of the week. The difference between good and bad is the bad ones don't know they're doing it. So all you have to do is be aware that you are closing people no matter what, all day, every day. The best closers in the world, you just saw them on the stage. Kids, they'll close your ass on anything. How many times have a kid closed you on something? Because they're not listening to the no. Everybody's so worried about rejection, it's unbelievable. Everybody's worried about other people's opinion unbelievably. Folks, the reason you are so concerned about someone else's opinion is because you don't value your own. That's the truth. That's why when I say, well, go introduce yourself. No, I don't want to. Why? Well, what if this happens? And what if that happens? And they're all just technically afraid. Raise your hand if you would not have the balls to come up on stage and talk real quick. Thank you for being honest. There's only 2 of you. The rest of you are lying sacks of shit. No, there's some of you that'll walk up here, but I'm telling you, that's the bravado that you want to have. We're taught differently as we're growing up. As I was growing up, I was being taught like everybody else. Money doesn't grow on trees. Keep your mouth shut. Fly under the radar. Don't attract attention. Be humble. And again, to me, if you look up the word humble, it says to have a low opinion of one's own importance. Now again, if you're in the room and God comes in, be humble. But everybody else, you know what I'm saying? That's how you got to walk around. Why? Because you got to have a confidence. And here's why. To sell something, guys, you want to be in the position of an expert. People want an expert. They want to know that you know your shit. You don't walk up to somebody and say, hey, we used to sell cars, for example. There was a sticker on the window that we used to freaking mark up the cars like $5,000. Most salespeople, when they said, what's that sticker for? People would say, oh, don't worry about that. We can negotiate later. Let's just see if it's the right car. That's what they're taught to say. I would always teach them to say, let me show you. See how easy that is? Hey, why is it marked up $5,000? Let me show you. And then boom, you start to do your walk around. Everybody else ran from it. Why? Because they knew it was markup. They didn't buy into it themselves. They had no confidence. They weren't an expert. Why is this thing marked up? Supply and demand. You know the difference? Supply and demand. They go, yeah. Okay, let me show you why this thing's freaking in such demand. It's just a slight shift. Again, technically it's a slight shift in perspective. But I want to teach you guys during my time here today 3 things. And make sure you keep me on it because I'll go off on tangents. Number 1, how to pretty much get past any objection. Because earlier when you guys were going over those objections, guys, that's where the rubber meets the road. That's where the money's made. Okay, a salesperson will make a great living, but dude, a closer will get paid like it's never enough. Like a closer, the difference between, by the way, in my opinion, salesperson and a closer is a closer is somebody that comes when the customer says no. Like you can sell me something. I walk in, you give me the information, we hit it off, I like the shit, we make a deal, you sold me. You didn't close me. Okay, you didn't close me. You close me when I say no. And then you get me to say yes. And that's where the big money's made. Because you can make a ton being a salesperson, but you'll make a freaking fortune being a closer. So I want to teach you what worked for me the whole entire time from start to finish, and it still does to this day. I do it to my wife all the time. I close her left and right. Okay? At least 3 times, didn't I? But in reality, listen, here's this is very simple, and you guys got to let it sink in, but write it down because there's a step to it. When someone gives you an objection, the first thing you have to understand is it's probably bullshit. 90% of the time, what they're telling you is bullshit. That's where you get the term buyers are liars. Who's heard that? That's what they mean by buyers are liars. I've been a buyer and I've lied my ass off. I've said I had to get my wife so many times, and I don't need my wife to do shit. Well, few things I do, but you know what I mean. I don't need her permission, thankfully. We got an arrangement, right? I don't have to ask. She doesn't have to ask. People always get pissed off at me because I say I have a magic floor. Like when I go home, if I throw my shirt on the floor, somehow it gets dry cleaned and put back, and I don't even know how the fuck it happens. I'm assuming it's a magic floor. And people started saying shit on social media about, that's rude. You should respect your wife. I said, shut up. She got a magic purse. Yeah, so the close goes like this. First thing, whatever they say to you. So their number 1 objection, I got to get my wife or whatever it is. The first thing you do is you have to identify and isolate the objection. Okay? When you hear an objection, if you do not identify and isolate the objection, you're going about it incorrectly, and I'll tell you why. Because it's probably not real. You cannot close a smokescreen, a fake objection. So when someone gives you a reason they're not buying, all you have to do is identify and isolate it, and here's how you do it. You solve it with a hypothetical solution. Does that make sense? If it doesn't make sense, raise your hand because I want to make sure you guys understand this, because this right here will make you more money than I've ever seen in my life. And it's so simple. Okay, someone says, my dog died. Identify and isolate. Someone says, my wife isn't here. Identify and isolate. I don't want holes in my roof. Identify and isolate. Or have humor. Like I heard a solar objection the other day was, I don't want holes in my roof. I'm like, dude, you already got holes in your fucking roof. How do you think Santa Claus gets in? What you're trying to tell me is you don't want leaks in your roof, right? Not holes, because you already got those. So that's where the humor comes in. But identify and isolate the objection. Everybody got that? Step 1, you get an objection, identify and isolate. You identify and isolate by creating a hypothetical solution. A hypothetical solution is power because it's hypothetical. You can say whatever you want. Be careful what you say, but you can say whatever you want because it's hypothetical. So if, for example, my wife is not here, okay, if I'm in that situation, I say, because again, hypothetically, you don't tell them hypothetically, but you're just thinking, hypothetically, if she was here, would you move forward? Because if they say no, and a lot of times you'll find out when you try this out, you'll be like, son of a bitch, this is working. Because they'll say, oh, I got to get my wife. And you'll say, well, let me ask you a question. If your wife were here and she told you to pull the trigger, would you move forward? Because that's all you want to know, right? You're testing the objection. Most people just try to handle the objection, and then it's fake, and then they don't close it, and they're wondering why. Well, because I just lied to you to get out of there, and you believed it, which means I sold you, Because there's always a sale going on. You guys realize that. Either you're selling them or they're selling you. But at the end of the day, if you believe that first objection, you're going to probably end up losing the deal. Sometimes it might be the real objection. Like you've closed deals before. It's like, hey, I didn't do what you're talking about. But there's a lot of deals that you could have closed doing what I'm talking about. Identify and isolate the objection, step one. Okay? You do that by creating a hypothetical solution. It's very simple. It doesn't matter what the objection is. Give me your industry's best, your top objection. You need multiple bids? Well, let me ask you a question. If you got multiple bids and ours came in the best, would you be ready to move forward? Now, see, he said yes. That's the step one, is move them from a no to a yes, because they said no. Now you got to move them to a yes. That's not a deal yet, but you move them from a no to a yes, and that's exactly how. If he did not say yes, that's not the real objection. Now, again, when someone says, I got to get multiple bids, let me ask you a question. I mean, I can go over a couple of different closes to that, but if I asked you a question, is it what is it you're going to get bids for? Are you looking for best price, best quality? What are you trying to do? Best price, because it's not going to boil down to the deal, I hope. Okay, good. Now, if you had shopped around and everything came out perfect and we were the best one, are you ready to move forward? Okay, perfect. Now, see, that's what you're looking for. Now, most people will get scared, like, well, what do I do now? Now, that's step two. Now you got to close with logic. Logic is an acronym. Stands for leverage, obvious gain, intelligence, and common sense. So the obvious gain working with your organization. Again, this is where you obviously need to have some sort of expertise about your business and your industry. If you guys are new in a business or new in your industry and you're not making a bunch of money yet, 100% is because you're probably not comfortable, you're not confident, you're not walking around like you own the place. You're walking around like you're new. Now, you can use that to your advantage, but as you're using the, hey, I'm new, I'll find that out, start finding that out and becoming an expert in your industry, because people want to talk to experts. If you guys were going to go buy something, don't you want to run into somebody that knows everything about it in the whole damn industry? The best place to go, the best interest rates, the best banks, whatever the case is, the best shingles, the best electrical equipment, the best car, whatever it is. I want experts. Who wants an expert? Raise their hand. Tell the truth. Okay, now ask yourself every single day, are you an expert? And if your answer is no, I'm not. Guys, it's okay not to be an expert. You can say, hey, I'm not an expert, still make deals. But if you become an expert and you study every day your industry and your knowledge, I guarantee you're going to start walking around. Might take a year or two as an expert, and you become an expert in that field. And experts that are really, really good in any field are the ones that get paid the most. You can look at any industry. The top of the top are the most professional, rehearsed, badass closers in that industry. So if you... logic it's coming a double entendre because you use logic, common sense. But logic is leverage, obvious gain. You leverage the obvious gain of your product or service. So like, whatever the service is we've been talking about, you've already told me your problems and your situations. And now I'm leveraging my product or service, obviously pointing out the gain of doing business with us. Your backache's going to go away. Your freaking leaks are going to stop. Your toilets are going to work again. You're leveraging the obvious gain. And then you use intelligence and common sense. So if your wife's not here, was the objection, I got to talk to my wife. Well, if your wife was here and she told you to pull the trigger, would you be ready to move forward? That's just a simple question. And people will, believe it or not, say most times, well, and then they come up with another one. And that's the magic, guys. Then they're coming up with another one because that one really wasn't it. And you could have sat there and said, let's go get her. Hey, how about we go get her? How about we do this with her and that with her? And you're trying to overcome that objection. It's not the objection. So you're going to lose. You don't do that. You identify and isolate the objection so you know it is what it is. And you do that very simply with a hypothetical solution. Now, when you give the hypothetical solution and they say yes like he did, well, now you move to step two because that is the objection. Now you know it is, and sometimes you will get the real one right off the bat. Hey, it's the money. I don't have the money. Well, let me ask you a question. If you had the money, would you be ready to pull the trigger? Yeah, if I had the money. Well, guess what, guys? If they don't have the money, you can't close them. Write this down. Every deal is not closable. You have to be able to recognize when a deal is not closable. You can't get blood out of a turnip. I don't care how good you are. Matter of fact, you're probably not that bright, number one. Number two, you have to think in your mind something very important. That person can come back and buy it another time. You heard there are no B-backs? Anybody heard that? So that's another bunch of bullshit. There are B-backs. Raise your hand if you've sold someone that thought about it and came back. Look, damn near everybody. So there are B-backs, but not if you're a dick and you hammer close them. Guys, you don't want to hammer close anybody anymore. The whole, pressure, high pressure hammer sales shit is dead. Nobody likes it. You got the internet, they got more information than you probably do. You know what they want? They want freaking someone that knows the industry. They want someone that they can trust and like, and bond with. And if you act like this is just a passing job, you're just doing it for the summer, they're not going to build that trust. Especially with like roofers and people that are doing a service. Who's going to take care of this after we leave? We are going to stick around. You start building that trust. Okay, people will buy from people they trust. I'm telling you right now, at the end of the day, if I'm going to buy from somebody, I'm not talking about like, hey, I'm going to go buy a Ferrari. Because I went in and bought my car and I said, hey, I want that one. And the guy said, I'm like, that one. He didn't sell me, okay? I went there to buy it. Does that make it, you see what I'm saying? But if I'm looking at a car and I go, okay, let me think about it. All the salesman's natural response is, well, what are you going to think about? Who gives a fuck what I'm going to think about? Like, that's none of your business. I don't like when people ask me that. But if he said, let me ask you a question. And by the way, see, I'll go on a million things because when it comes to freaking sales, guys, it boils back down to ultimately a personality. And I don't know if you can learn personality, but you all have one. The problem is some of you are afraid to use it. You're trying to be something you're not, and you're hiding who you actually are. And when you bring out who you actually are, that's when you're going to start freaking crushing life. And not just in sales, in everything. You literally, and that's what I mean by walk around like you own the place. You have to walk in with some enthusiasm and some confidence and some freaking, swagger. You got to roll around like you freaking owned a bitch. How do we do that? How come most people can't do that? It's because ultimately they worry about someone else's opinion. You worry about looking stupid. I don't care about looking stupid. Somebody said earlier, oh, Brad, since last year, it looks like you got a little comfortable. Give a fuck. What do I care? Like, what are you guys going to do? Not like me because I gained a little chunk? Shit. Who really? So, at the end of the day, the development over the years is what I want to walk through you guys with, because this is what it took for me to get to the point I'm at. It ultimately came to where I like myself. That's why I'm not so worried about you guys liking me. You guys think to yourself, if you're worried about other people liking you, if you're worried about other people fitting in, it's very simple. It's only because you don't like yourself enough and you don't think you fit in, you don't want to be awkward, you don't want to look like an asshole or weird or awkward. Where do we get that from? From our parents, from society. We're taught that. But we're taught that. Think about what you've been taught in school, man. Think about what you've been taught at home. And it's not our parents' fault. Like, my parents were hardworking individuals. They were trying to teach me how to get along in life, but they told me, keep your mouth shut, fly under the radar, don't get attention, just work hard and mind your business. Well, my dad worked hard and minded his business and, never really made any money at all. I'm doing the opposite of what he taught me, and I'm making millions. So it's like, dude, who do you listen to? And I can introduce you to person after person after person after person that you will start to realize, oh my God, they're doing it too. So remember what I told you yesterday, if you want to do something in life, you got to figure out who's already done it and then emulate what they're doing. So if you guys are like out there crushing it in solar, and you want your team to crush it in solar, map out exactly what you're doing and then get them to follow you. That's where leadership comes in very important. learning to become a leader. And again, if any of you guys don't know how to lead a team, I'm telling you, call the Elliott group and get your freaking ass down there to the lion's den, because I'm telling you, they breed leaders. They breed the example. And I think it's because, Andy sets the example. Like this isn't a show that you see. When I first met him, I thought, we'll see how long this freaking energy lasts. So I go down there and hang with him for a week, then hang with him for another week, and I'm like, shit, dude, they're not stopping. This is them. And that's why, because you demonstrate that leadership. Anyway, so I don't want to get off on a tangent because I'm watching my time. I'm like, shit, I'm behind. But I want to teach how to get past any objection. Identify and isolate, okay? Identify and isolate the objection simply by creating a hypothetical solution. Does that make sense to everybody? So if I said the reason I'm not buying is I don't have any money, hypothetically, if you had some money, it can be as simple as that. But you want to get a little bit more creative sometimes. As soon as the customer says yes, you found the real objection. Once the customer says yes, you found the real objection, you move to step 2, which is basically use logic. Leverage the obvious gain of your program, product, or service, intelligence, and common sense. Better yet, have some responses, some rebuttals. A lot of people say, what do you think about scripts, Brad? I don't like scripts. I hang up on people that I can tell are reading scripts, but I like scripts to train people with. So here, take this script and memorize it 1,000 times. All the times you see people make badass responses to those objections, like Andy earlier today had some great freaking responses. Everyone's like, wow, that's a great response. You'll never be able to do that until you understand that was a script that was learned over and over and over, and now it's inside him. So when you give it to him, bam, and he can tell you 5 different ways the same thing. That's practiced, drilled, and rehearsed. If you're not drilling, practicing, and rehearsing every single freaking day, do you really want what you're claiming you want? You want to go sell more? That's how you do it. That's how you just get better with your craft. Because at the end of the day, guys, you know what it boils down to? I said it yesterday. Anybody remember? No, the more hands you shake, the more money you make. I mean, that's the bottom line. I want to teach sales, and I walk up and I go, dude, just go shake hands. I leave. Because that's how easy it is. Just go shake hands. Just go meet people. But if you want to get better and develop yourself and hone the skill, that's what you want to do. You want to memorize those scripts. You got to, know your top 5 objections. And anytime somebody gives you one, you're going to be able to fire off 1 to 3, just like this. And then they become second nature. At first, they do sound a little scripty, and you guys feel awkward. That's the part I'm talking about over here. You can't worry about feeling awkward. You're worrying about getting better. So pretty soon you feel awkward, you feel stupid. You might blow a deal, but then guess what? You start getting smoother, you start getting slicker. The next thing you know, dude, you're a badass closer making all the dough. That's how it is. So leverage obvious gain, intelligence, and common sense. Again, I can go through a bunch, but I want to get to the sacred 6. Those right there, the leverage obvious gain, intelligence, common sense, just remember, I'm supposed to use logic. He said use logic. What's logical? Logical. It depends on what you're selling. If my wife's not here and you say, hey, if your wife was here and she told you to pull the trigger, would you be ready to move forward? And the guy goes, yeah. What's logical? What's the next step logically? Anybody? Yeah, let's get your wife on the phone. Let's go get her. That jet objection that Sam got, and he had that slick way to say, hey, you got to do that. I'd have said, listen, you don't have to ask your wife permission to buy a jet, bro. What do you think she's going to say? No, honey, I don't want a jet. Unless it's her money, you ain't got to get permission. Right? Because any wives in here be pissed if your husband came home with a jet? No. Okay, that's one of those things. No, they're not going to object to that. But you're still going to identify and isolate the objection and leverage intelligence and common sense. So the common sense in that case would be, let's go get your wife. Let's go do this. My wife's at work. I can't get her. Guys, recognize that may not be closable at this point in time. Make the deal predicated to the wife coming home and approving it. I've sold tons of deals that way. The wife's not here. I'm using logic. I'm trying to get her on the phone, FaceTime, whatever. Bing, 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 bing. Nope, can't have it. Can't happen. It's kind of legit. He's selling me on the fact. So basically I say, well, listen, and I'll just move right into, let's make the deal. If she decides that for some reason that you don't want to do it, we'll just tear up the agreement. 90% of those deals stick. 10%, they come back. She said no, and we tear up the agreement. But what'd you lose? Nothing. Make sense? So that's how you get past any objection. We could role play if I had more time, but again, take your team and write that down and go try it. Go try it, and you'll start to see, holy shit, this works. This works incredibly well. Any objection. My wife sometimes, I'm driving down the road. I don't know if any of you guys have this problem, but I drive down the road and I'll say, what do you want to eat? She'll say, I don't care. And I'll say, okay, let's go to Five Guys. And she'll say, not Five Guys. Yeah, it's like, okay, let's go to Carrabba's. Not Carrabba's. Well, what do you want to eat then? I don't care. So now I don't do that. I say, number one, where do you want to go eat? She'll say, it doesn't really matter. I say, let's go to Carrabba's. She goes, not Carrabba's. And I'll ask her, let me ask you a question. Why don't you want to go to Carrabba's? Because you need the objection first. Why don't you want to go to Carrabba's? She said, I don't like anything on the menu. I said, well, if there was something on the menu that you liked, would you go? She says, yes. And I say, good, let's go see what's on the menu. It works all the time. And all I'm doing is the same thing. So you apply that, whether it's cars, whether it's roofs, whether it's freaking solar, whether it's insurance, anything. You got to identify the objection up front and in advance. Then secondarily, being in that expert position, why aren't people doing that? I'm going to transition. Any questions on that right now? Well, again, I need to think about it. To me, is not an objection. That's a problem. And you solve it by asking, because I want to know what you need to think about. So if someone says to me, I need to think about it, obviously, dude, you're going to need to think about it. But what is it you're going to need to think about? Like, for example, Lightspeed VT, when people come in, they don't know the industry very well. They're looking around, they're shopping around, and then they say they need to think about it. And I say, well, let me ask you a question. Would you like me to write down a bunch of things you should think about? Because otherwise, you're going to leave to think about shit. Then you're going to come back and you're going to find out there was a whole bunch more shit you needed to think about. And then they realize, I'm a what? I'm an expert. And they're like, well, what do I need to think about? Come on, sit down. Next thing you know, dude, they're signing deals. Why? Because they don't really need to think about it. And then I've also got a tool already designed called the ROI calculator, where if someone says I need to think about it, I go, cool, let me give you something to think about. Right? I don't care. Let me give you something to think about. And then I say, imagine this, imagine that, imagine this, imagine that. Now, is that something you really need to think about? And 90% of the time, they say no. Close. But it doesn't work in all situations. When it comes to like prospecting, the fundamentals of sales. If you guys say, hey, I just want to go make more money, I say, number one, talk to more people. Guarantee you guys will make more money if you just do that. Number two, start prospecting every single day. You prospect everybody doesn't prospect. Dude, raise your hand if you prospect and tell the truth. See, not even a third of the hands went up. But dude, prospecting regularly every day, most salespeople don't do that. Most teams don't do that. Most managers don't do that. Most entrepreneurs certainly don't do that. And that alone will double your business. These are simple things that, like, if I came out here and just said these things and said this is over, you'd make more money than you ever did if you went and tried to prove me wrong, but you'd be pissed off that you bought a ticket. Be like, what'd you learn at closing school? Fucking dickhead just told me the obvious. But at the end of the day, if it's so obvious, how come people aren't doing it? Prospect. The biggest one? Follow up. Follow up, folks. I've left my name with so many people that never call back, it's unbelievable. Especially in real estate. Anybody in real estate here? Guys, call your people back. I never got called back. It's the dumbest shit ever. Hey, I'm looking at this house over here on Sundown. Give me a call back. No one calls back. I call again, looking for the house on Sundown. Oh, I'm sorry, it sold. Yeah, bitch, because you didn't call me back. Nobody calls anybody back. You got to follow up, man. Make it like a religion. Like, you have to follow up. Those are just your common sense shit that will triple every single business in here. Follow up, prospect, talk to more people. Boom. Double or triple your business, I guarantee you. Go prove me wrong. Okay? But for the ones that can't walk around, walk up, introduce themselves, you get a little nervous, you walk up, you're a little bit shaky, you think somebody else, you walk into a room that maybe you don't belong in. Why don't you belong there? Exactly. Exactly. You feel like, oh, I shouldn't be in this room. This room's full of important people. Well, what that means you don't think you're important. Guys, we got to solve that shit. I want you walking out of here realizing that you're number one, very valuable. You're the only you there is in the entire world. We've heard that, but that's the truth if you think about it. Doesn't make you valuable just because you're unique. Okay, what makes you valuable? Okay, what makes you valuable? Doing the fucking work. Doing the work, putting in the work that nobody else will, learning the information, becoming the expert. That's what makes you valuable, and you guys know you're paid in direct proportionate to the value that you provide. So if you're just floating around, and by the way, if you make good money floating around, you're like me. Like I always laugh at people, write down goals. I ain't never wrote down no fucking goals. I haven't. But that doesn't, and I told you earlier, I'm only here when I want to be here. Well, maybe that's why. I keep making fun of writing down goals. I don't need to write down no goals. That's stupid. I should just start writing down goals. I always said, if you have to write them down, they're not big enough. Raise your goals. But then I realized you don't want to raise your goals. That's everybody's problem. That's why you're chipping away your self-esteem on a regular basis. So if you really want to start having some confidence, you really start wanting to get some self-worth, you really start wanting to walk around kind of like you own the place. And by the way, dude, there's nothing wrong with that. But you tell somebody that, and guess what? They'll start saying, oh, you better not act like that. That's society, guys. Don't worry about it. If you're pure in your heart, okay, because I'm assuming you're good people. If you're a piece of shit, don't listen. If you're a good person and you're out there trying to help people, because again, I'm not trying to sell anybody anything. I don't sell people shit. I help people, okay? I'm going to help you make more money. I'm helping you make more money. I didn't sell you a ticket to this place. I'm trying to help you make more money for your kids and your family so you can have better Christmases. And who knows, maybe if you guys want an event like this for yourself, how come you don't have an event like this for yourself? Anybody listen to my podcast, by the way? Awesome. Dropping bombs, guys. I'm telling you, you guys want to listen to that, subscribe. But how many of you guys have a podcast? See? Hardly any of you. Guys, if you want to make money, and you want to make money, trust me, you need attention. It takes no time to get on a freaking microphone and talk. The only reason you don't have a podcast is because you think in your head, what do I got to say? Who's going to listen to me? Don't nobody want to hear my shit. Untrue. How many of you guys have a YouTube channel? See what I'm saying? Like a fraction of you. Every single one of you guys need a YouTube channel. Go get a YouTube channel. Or don't. I don't give a shit. But I'm telling you right now, guys, go get a YouTube channel and start posting videos on there. Some of you won't. Why? I don't know what to say. What do I got to say? Nobody's going to listen to me. Little old me. Boo-hoo-hoo. I'm not worth anything. You guys see how it starts to reflect? I'm telling you, there's some of you guys listening going, man, how does he know? Because I used to be that guy. You guys have to correct that very simply. You got to commit to do what you say you're going to do. Okay? Some of you guys, maybe you pulled some shit in your past. I mean, I've been freaking, I did crack one time for 3 days. I said I was hooked on crack for 3 days. Crack! Someone called me and dude, that ain't fucking hooked. That's called a bender. Okay, I was on a bender then. But I smoked crack for 3 days. Anybody not like me anymore? And if you do, if that's true, well, whatever. But I really did. Like I did some shit. I used to close deals to get me paid. We had a foreign exchange student that came to stay with our family and I stole his fucking money. Knowing full well he's out of his country, but I wanted that money. So I took it like a dick. Okay? No ethics whatsoever. I used to push a grocery cart into stores and fill it up with orders that my friends gave me and push it right past the cashier and out the door to my car and throw shit in my car. The cashiers would be sitting there watching me and they'd think, I worked there or something. They couldn't figure out why some kids pushing out a cart full of shit just right out the door. Whoop. Unethical. I wouldn't recommend it for anybody unless you're under 18. As soon as I turned 18, I stopped that shit because I knew there was jail now. Didn't want to go to jail. But anyway, the point is I did change. I didn't have ethics. And until I became ethical, until I started to develop ethics, and then I started developing integrity, did anything really change? So if you're sitting out there right now and you don't have ethics and integrity, forget everything I'm saying because it's not going to work. You got to be a good person, folks, if you want to get ahead in life. The universe, God, whatever you want to call it, they are watching you, okay? Karmic retribution. You cannot be a piece of shit and win. You think in your head sometimes, well, this guy won and he's a piece of shit. Yeah, but you don't know everything about that person and what they're thinking and who they are. You just think you do. Just the same goes with you. Nobody knows you guys. Nobody knows you as good as you. So don't allow that to be your narrative. Okay? Fix it by doing one thing. And by the way, even if right now you're sitting there and you think, damn, he's picked me out. I am a piece of shit still. Let's fix it today. Number one, forgive yourself. I forgave myself. That's the first thing I did. And that's the hardest thing to do. Okay? But you got to forgive yourself. Wipe the slate clean. Listen, everyone deserves a second chance, including you, including me, including everybody. So I wiped the slate clean. That's the first thing I did. Then I committed to do what I say I'm going to do. You got to commit to do what you say you're going to do on a regular basis. If you don't do what you say you're going to do, it starts to chip away at your self-esteem and your self-worth, and pretty soon you're in a bigger rut than when we started. So you have to commit to do it. And if you're getting anxious because you know you don't really do what you say you're going to do, just remember that you don't have to agree. You get to decide what you agree to. So just stop agreeing to so much shit. Stop saying you're going to start working out if you're not going to start working out. Stop lying to yourself, essentially. So commit to do what you say you're going to do. Step 3, you want to rack up the wins. This is what most people don't do. You want to rack up the wins. Most people will tell you to raise their goals, and then you come in a little bit short. So if you say, I'm going to make $1 million this month or this year, and you come in at $950, is that a win or a loss? See, that's a win. That's a win. No, it isn't. You guys never played sports? If you said $1 million and you came in at $950, you know that's not $1 million, correct? Okay, so that's a loss. And you might say it's a win consciously. Why? Because we're told that by all our friends and our parents. Oh, it was a good job. It was close. Good job. No. It may be a good job. It may be better than 900, but at the end of the day, it's still a loss. So what if we were to lower our goals a little bit on a daily? Leave your big goals for a macro. Lower them on a daily. Why do we want to do that? We want to do it so we start winning a lot. Because the more you win, the more you feel like winning, a winner, and the more you lose, the more you feel like a loser. So if you win a lot, you will feel like a winner. It's just the truth. And guess where confidence pretty much comes from? Huh? The memory of winning. Who said that? You heard me say that before? Or you just know it? That's freaking good. That's goddamn good. Guys, confidence is really just the memory of winning. If I fought every person in here right now, boom, 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 by the time I got through the whole room, next person walks up, want to fight, I'll be like, let's go. I just walked over everybody, including chicks. Like I beat them all up. I can take on anybody. And I probably wouldn't lose any confidence until someone came up and gave me a freaking beating. Because I won and I feel like a winner. If you win at chess all the time, sometimes you want to play chess, you're like, fuck yeah, let's play chess. You want to get that same mindset when it comes to sales. When you approach a customer, you want to know that you're the professional, man. You own this shit. This is a battle. I like to say it's more like a dance. But let's use, rage and war. It's more like a battle, man. And if every time you go into a battle, would you not want to grab some equipment? Would you not want to grab some ammo and some guns and some knives and some Kevlar? Make sense? So you rack up the wins just by lowering your goals. Believe it or not, I woke up this morning, brushed my teeth. Fucking win. People say, that ain't a win, Brad. Everyone brushes their teeth. Don't tell me what a win is, and I won't tell you what a win is. See what I'm saying? You get to decide what your wins are. So why do you keep setting them so damn high? People taught us that. Set your goals high, and if you fall short, at least you reached the moon. I say lower your goals a little bit so you hit them a lot. And you'll start to hit those a lot, and you'll start to feel like a winner. You'll start to actually feel like you deserve more. And believe it or not, it'll be noticeable. You'll start to walk taller. You'll start to be more proud. Someone will come along and tell you not to be proud. pride goeth before the fall. God doesn't want you to be proud. And again, I don't believe that, but at the end of the day, they will come in and they will tell you, we liked you better before. Who do you think you are? Oh, now you're following Bradley. You think you're cool? Those are the people that you want to get rid of, which is step 4 in that sacred 6. Step 4 is get rid of the idiots. Get rid of the negativity. Get rid of the people talking shit. Get rid of the shit talking, including the shit talking you do to yourself. Because I don't know if you guys understand this or not, but your mind, guaranteed, is like soil. What you put in there will grow. It's not a question, it's a law. What you plant will grow. If you plant corn, what do you think comes up? Corn. It can't be anything else. You don't plant corn and hope wheat pops out. Okay, so what you plant grows. Why would you allow anything else into your head? And we do that all day long, do we not? Call somebody. How's it going over there? How's it going with you? Oh, yeah. It's all right. When people ask me, how's it going? I say, dude, wasted question. It's going fucking great. If you guys ever see me, don't ask me how I'm doing. I'm doing fucking great. I'm in charge. Why would it be going bad? Number 1, I woke up. Number 2, I'm in control. If I say it's going terrible, who's the idiot? I'm the idiot. How would I let it go terrible? I'm in control, and you guys are in control. So as soon as you start seeing these negative people and this negative press and this negative headlines and this negativity, just get yourself away from it. Guys, it's easier said than done. It is difficult to do, especially when it's someone you love. Whether your wife, your husband, could be your kids, could be your parents. It could be anybody. And it's not as easy when they're those people. Because what do you mean? Brad said, get rid of them. I can't get rid of them. That's my wife. Oh, I can get rid of my wife. I just shut it off. I don't give a fuck. I'm out of time, they're trying to tell me. But I want to finish this because, dude, you guys, this is what's important in life. When someone says, Brad, teach me sales. Guys, I can teach you sales. You start with preparation. Then you go to the meet and greet. Then you go to the fucking fact finding and you find out from the customer what it is that they need and they want. And you ask intelligent questions. Then you listen to the fucking answers. And then you take those answers and you build value in your product or service. And then you ask them for the fucking sale, which half of you don't do. Ask them for the sale. I always say, how much is it? People go, how much is it? Guys, how much is it is a buying signal. Hey, and by the way, tell them I'm coming. When I say I don't give a fuck, I'm aware. Just hold tight. But, well, again, buying signals is how much is it? Buying signal is I'm just looking. I used to see salesmen get all freaked out when someone said, I'm just looking. I'm like, bitch, let them finish the sentence. I'm just looking to buy a car. Oh, but I'm just looking. Oh. I'm just looking. Finish the sentence for them in your head. I'm just looking to buy what I got. Okay, and now all of a sudden your attitude changes. But my point is that I can teach you to sell, the steps of the sale and blah, blah, blah. And by the way, everyone has their own. If you work someplace, there's 7 steps to a sell. Then you go somewhere else, there's 13 steps to a sell. Then you go somewhere else, there's 4 steps to a sell. Dude, they're all the same, okay? But most people don't teach us preparation. That's the biggest one. If you guys get prepared, start focusing on preparation. Ask yourself every day before you leave the house, am I prepared to leave the house? Someone asked me earlier, how do you get prepared? I get prepared with the $1 Million Morning. I went over that yesterday. Every single morning I do that. Okay, that's preparation before I leave the house. Now I've got focus on my money. I'm going to go do some shit. 5 things to drive revenue today. Right? I'm focused. I got some new information. I'm smarter than I was yesterday. I've improved myself no matter what happens the rest of the day. I could end up freaking drunk, stoned on a beach, and I improved myself. But I wouldn't ruin it, by the way. It's a joke. Don't do that. But that's preparing to leave the thing. Now, when you get to work, depending on where you work, I don't know, man. If you're selling cars, go walk the inventory. See what came in the day before. Go check the interest rate. See what happened. Know what's going on in your industry. Right? But if I teach you all those things and you have no confidence and you don't walk around like you got a freaking 12-inch personality, it's not going to matter. I've literally taught salespeople all the steps to a sale, and I've told them everything, and they're not closing anything. And then I teach them how to freaking like themselves and feel like they're worth something and get ethical and start being a good person, and all of a sudden everything changes for them. everything changed for me. So that's why I'm so, I told myself, I want to teach them this, and that. I always go back to this. Why? Because that's why. And I want to see everybody win. I want to see everybody make more. So step 4 is get rid of the idiots, guys. Step 5, you got to map out and visualize exactly what success looks like. If I walked around the room one-on-one and said, what does success look like? 92% of you guys will not have an answer. You'll go like this. Because I've done it. I've tried it. And don't always listen to statistics. You know that 72% of statistics are made up on the spot? Did you know that? You should go get a book called Lying with Statistics. It works. 71% of your neighbors make that shit up. But this is the truth. 10 out of 7 people don't understand fractions. So at the end of the day, you got to map out and visualize what success looks like so you can zone in on it. You got to know if you're moving towards or away. It's the easiest thing in the world. Am I moving towards or away? Well, towards or away where? Like right now, if I spun you in a circle, put on a blindfold, and you were walking that way, and I said, are you moving towards California or away? Well, I don't know. I gotta see where I'm at. Right. So map out and visualize every single day exactly what success looks like, and then every day just use that as a guide to make your choices. Because the choices you make determine the road you take. I'm telling you, it's that simple. But you have to have a freaking waypoint. So you map out and visualize that step 6, or that step 5, and then step 6 you already know. Step 6 is seek new information. You guys want new information every day. Today, who literally took my advice yesterday and woke up today grateful as a son of a bitch, worked on their health, good. Keep your hands up if you did all these. Put them down if you didn't. Worked on your health, worked out a little bit, ate right at least once. Okay. Texted 5 people, told them you love them. Oh, see, there goes the hands. You don't care about relationships. You didn't hear a word I said. Okay. Read a book, listened to a podcast. Now again, you look around. If you're not raising your hand, you're either one of those people going, no, I don't like to fucking do this shit. And I'm the same way. You notice when people start getting up and hugging and getting all active in groups, I always like back away. Tony Robbins invited me to his thing one time because he's a client, and he wanted me to audit his UPW and his various events where there's 10,000 people in the audience and it's cold as shit, and I'm in the front row, and I'm like, and they go, get up everybody, and they're like, okay, everybody up. And so, you get up, and they say, turn to your left, and, put your hands on the person in front of your shoulder, and then you're like this, and this dude had fucking like dandruff and shit, and I'm like, no, I got to go to the bathroom. So I said, excuse me, I'm going to go to the bathroom. So I went to the bathroom, walked out the door. His wife calls me, where are you? Tony wants you in here. And I'm thinking, how the fuck does Tony know where I'm at? It turned out there was a lanyard. He gave me a lanyard for my tag, and the color of my lanyard told everybody to watch me because he's intending to do business. So those events are so dialed in. The color of your lanyard means something. I'm like, holy shit, this guy's got this thing down. So I'm like, okay, I'm coming. So I go back in there. Guess what? Within an hour, dude, same thing. Everybody stand up. I'm like, fuck. Says, turn to your neighbor. And I'm like, oh shit. And I'm standing there. I'm talking to somebody trying to get out of it. And then this hippie looking dude, like that teacher from South Park, comes over my shoulder and he goes, are you going to participate or not? Because he wanted his back rubbed. And I'm like, I got to go to the bathroom. Anyway, I left, and Sage calls. Tony's wife calls and says, hey, where'd you go? Tony wants you in here. Well, I went back to my hotel room this time. My wife was there at the hotel room. I'm like, dude, every 5 seconds they want you to rub each other and touch each other. I said, I don't do that shit. That's why he tells you before you come, play all out. Go all in, because they want you to break that fear and that freaking awkwardness, which I have as well. Okay, so I go back in there one more fucking time. And I'm sitting there. And they say, listen, turn left or turn right and face your neighbor. So I turn right, face my fucking neighbor. And he's a dick. And he's got his knees up, and we're supposed to be knee to knee. And then he says, okay, The first one on the left, scream as loud as you can, and then the person on the right is going to scream louder over the top, and then you scream louder over the top, and then we'll go back and forth to where whoever's screaming louder. So basically, everybody's screaming in their faces really, really loud. I'm like, I got to go to the bathroom. That's why you'll never, ever at closer school have to rub anybody, have to touch anybody. Yeah, and I mean, the last couple years, we just kind of throw these on, out of the blue. Like Sam called me and said, should we do another one? I'm like, yeah, we're going to do them. But we've all decided to take this shit seriously. So we're going to start packing these out, raising them up a little bit, and just eventually making a sales conference, an annual sales conference that's just the best sales conference on the planet. So every year you guys come back, you guys will see it start to get a little bit better, and a little bit better. Maybe we'll create some sort of founder membership that gets you in for free. I think last year there's a bunch of people here for free, yeah? See? Pays to come early, doesn't it? Okay, so that's how you literally raise your confidence, okay? And I'm telling you guys, write this down if you didn't, and then disprove me. I always tell people, disprove me, dude. Go out there and say, oh, this fucking guy. Disprove me and watch what happens. Here's what you do. You forgive yourself. It sounds stupid, but go by yourself in a mirror, look in the mirror, and just go, bro, I do forgive you for everything you've done in the past. Why? Because right now you have a subconscious and a conscious. The subconscious is below awareness. It's below awareness. You're not even aware. So when you forgive yourself, let's pretend it's just wiping the slate clean. You had a bunch of shit on the board. I wiped it clean. Okay? You forgive yourself. Okay? Secondly, you commit. That's just a decision. I'm going to do what I say I'm going to do from now on. That easy. It's a decision. Make the fucking decision. Okay, step 3, rack up the wins. Make 5 or 10 small goals every day that you won't go to bed until you hit them. You might be working out, might be eating better, might be brushing your teeth. You get to decide what those are. So if you can't figure out 10 or 15 small wins that you do every day, well then folks, DM me because you got bigger issues and we'll go deeper. But I'm telling you, most of you, because you're already rocking and rolling, that's all you got to do is lower those freaking goals. And then every day you keep doing it. This is a 30, 60, 90-day plan. Then pretty soon you start to feel a little bit different, like you deserve a little bit more. And you will feel that way. And you'll start to act a little bit different. And you'll start to know that you can do better. You look at your car, you'll be like, fuck, I can do better than this. Why am I living in this fucking neighborhood? You'll start to feel like you deserve more. And that's when you know it works. And then that's when the 4 comes in, because people will start trying to attack you. They will pull you back to fucking average. And then you just block those people out. And then every day you're visualizing exactly what success looks like. If it's a private jet, if it's a family, if it's a great relationship, if it's a farm, it doesn't matter. Don't let everybody else tell you what it is. You determine what it is. Map out and visualize it every single day, folks. Every single day, visualize it. There's shit that I now possess that I visualized every single day. And I possess it now, and you will too. But you have to visualize it every single day. How do you visualize it unless you've mapped it out? So map out and visualize. A lot of you haven't done that. And then step 6, seek new information every day so you can freaking develop yourself, but more importantly, change those beliefs. And that's how you walk around like you got a freaking good personality. That's how you walk around like you're freaking a badass. And guys, every single one of you guys are badass.
You got to put in the work and do what it takes. But I can show anyone how to make $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a year. Guess what? You're going to have to sell something. You're going to have to sell something. Well, I'm not very good in sales, Brad. Yes, you are.